Increases risk of cancers, it seems, breast being pretty prominent, which is a hormone, is thought because it impacts our hormones. Men also experience issues with testosterone as well and excess use of plastics. And of course, it affects the insulin hormone as well, which predisposes us to diabetes. They've actually looked at people who are considered overweight, those who had high levels of BPA in their system and those who didn't. Interestingly enough, the ones that really were more prone to developing diabetes were those with a high BPA. So you had people with the same BMIs, but the group without plastics actually did fine. They did not develop any issues with diabetes. When we're talking about hormones, we talk about all hormones. I'm just not talking about the sex ones. I'm talking about the ones that kind of keep your motor running, like the thyroid. I'm talking about the insulin one, because interestingly enough, they all play together. So, for example, your stress hormone will interfere with thyroid function. There are many times when people's thyroids start getting a little sluggish because they're too stressed out. It really stops the thyroid from becoming as active as it can. And then the cortisol also interferes with insulin as well. So when we're talking about hormonal balance, this is some of the things that can happen. It doesn't mean that everybody can be on hormones, and I don't really want you to take this away from this talk. What I want you to take away from it is that you can actually have an impact on your hormonal balance. You can speed up the way it's processed. You can damage it by environmental factors. So for those of us who perhaps are not even candidates for hormonal replacements for whatever reason, there's still things that you can do in order to balance your hormones. But basically what it says is that when estrogen goes down, what happens is that skin thickness goes down about 1% a year, and the collagen production goes down about 2% a year. So that kind of explains why our skin starts getting a little thinner, a little bit more saggy, a little bit more translucent, where you start seeing the veins underneath, many of us complain about. So lack of estrogen contributes to that. So the thyroid function that I think is hugely important, I think many people associate it with weight. But to me, when you start having elevated cholesterol levels because your thyroid function is low, that to me is more significant than weight. And of course, depression. All of my depressed patients absolutely get a thyroid function study because that's one of the huge symptoms of it, along with dry skin, dry hair, hair falling out, et cetera. Foggy thoughts. Many people think, oh, I need some estrogen, I'm not thinking clearly, and sometimes it may actually be related to your thyroid. And sometimes you can actually look at somebody after you've been doing this a while and kind of tell who has a little bit of an issue with the thyroid because the skin starts changing. It starts to be a little bit of a puffiness around the eyes, and many times you think, oh, maybe I just didn't sleep well enough, but it may be a thyroid function problem. So if your hormones are not balanced, you may be tired all the time, hyper or hypoglycemic, blood sugar is too high or blood sugar is too low. Depressed immune system, we know that stress suppresses the immune system. Increased inflammation, osteoporosis, foggy thinking, a lot of fatigue, like many people. It's not that naps in the afternoon are bad. I think perhaps we were kind of designed for that. But when it becomes excessive and you can't really wake yourself up, or when you can't get going in the morning, there might be an issue. So what do? We talked about it. We saw stress management, get tested. Look at your diet and your lifestyle, because that has a huge impact. Because many times people want hormonal replacement and they expect testosterone that's going to make them look like what Arnold Schwarzenegger used to look like. And it doesn't do that, because you have to continue to work out with it. You have to eat well in order to get those changes.